This is our second video for the Festival of Social Science, and in this video we ask simply, what is social science? Science is a method. It's a method for studying something. What are we studying? Well, that's the social bit. So social science is using the scientific method to study society, to study humanity. The scientific method is control. What we do is we compare two or more situations that are as identical as we can get them, except for one small thing. And then we study the outcomes. Now, the outcome that we measure is called the dependent variable. And we build an argument that says any difference in the outcome between the two situations has been caused by that small change. An experiment is the most common realization of this, and social scientists use experiments all the time. What happens is people are invited into a social science lab and they undergo some sort of task, and then another group of people are invited into a social science lab and they are given pretty much the same task with just one small change, and then the dependent variable is measured for each of these two situations and compared. The experiment is not the only way of doing the scientific method. Observational studies are even more common in social science. And observational studies means that the data arise more naturally. So for instance, if we wanted to see whether or not whereabouts you come from in the country determines whether or not you like red sauce on your chips or brown sauce on your chips, what we could do is we could invite people to a social science lab. We could give them a chip each with two dishes, a dish full of red sauce, a dish full of brown sauce, and we could measure which they choose to dip their chip in. Alternatively, as an observational study, what we could do is we could get data from the local supermarket, and the local supermarket will know whether or not you have bought red sauce or brown sauce, and from the loyalty card data that the supermarket has, we can figure out where in the country each of the customers is from. And in the observation study, the control comes from fancy statistical techniques. So behind the scenes, the statistics separate out the people from Scotland, from Wales, from Ireland, from Northern England, from Southern England. And the statistics will compare whether or not there's any difference in preferring red or brown sauce from each of those groups. What does a social scientist do? Well, we could say simply that a social scientist does social science. But in more depth, what social scientists are really doing is contributing to theory. Now, a theory is an explanation of data. So data have been collected from experiment or from observation study, and a theory is perhaps a mathematical explanation of that data. Or it could be just an English statement explaining why the data behaves the way that it does. And another social scientist will come along and collect more data to either extend that theory or to confirm that theory. And we can use this to decide which disciplines should be included as social science and which should not. And the acid test is, are the researchers involved using the scientific method to study society? And if they are, then by definition, they are doing social science. And if they're not, then it's not social science.